Broadcom's changes to their VMware Cloud Service Provider program got real on the 1st of November. There's going to be far fewer authorized partners in the UK and they've got a different job to do. So today, we found one of them to tell us about how they're supporting customers through this transition and helping them to reshape their cloud strategies to get the best value for their investments. So we are putting Mark Harrison, Head of Cloud Solutions at Redcentric, in the Register hot seat to tell us what's next for VMware in the cloud. Mark, hello, welcome to the hot seat.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
So everything changed on the 1st of November. What changed?
Well, the change of the 1st of November, the latest part of a total ecosystem transformation. Broadcom is changing the way you access the VMware products. So far, what they've done is they've changed the partner network to invitation only. They've split the partner network into resale, distribution, and service providers. And as part of ongoing consolidation of all partners globally, they're going to end up with 100 expert MSP partners worldwide. What really changed on the 1st of November is that those partners who were not partnered with one of the ongoing expert partners or are not one of the ongoing expert partners, then they can't take any new customers onto their shared platforms and they can't deliver dedicated platforms to those customers. So enterprise and corporate customers, they think about private cloud services. Smaller customers are going to be thinking about hybrid or public cloud services. The big impact of that is going to be perceived control, data sovereignty, and security of those platforms.
As the UK cloud market evolves, how are Broadcom's strategic changes going to affect your customers?
Short term, they're going to be changing their project priorities. They're going to be rethinking their budgets because there's a small window to make change here. VMware will not be used in small clouds, as VCF is the only product that they're offering now, and that was perceived to be the top end of their product range. There's going to be more choice around large cloud providers for those partners there. And the locations will be driven by the adoption of public cloud. Customers will have to change the way they think and be more agile. Broadcom has accelerated transformation plans for a lot of customers due to the timelines they've set out. And transformation used to be a public cloud story. So if you're moving to one of the big public cloud providers, then getting the best value is about transformation. Now that's part of the private cloud story as well. VMware's Cloud Foundation includes lots of features and functionality that customers didn't have access to before. And so it's about leveraging that. So the customer strategies are going to have to reflect that. They're going to have to understand the return on investment between buying capacity versus consumption of hybrid cloud or public cloud. But most importantly, having a cloud or using cloud will become simpler because you don't have the 5 to 7 year refresh cycle, rebuild, and big projects, big capex associated with it.
What decisions are VMware users having to make now that the changes have come into effect?
Well, they're going to have to decide whether to stick with VMware. A lot of organizations like to have on-premises infrastructure. That's a decision that they'll have to make, whether to stick with that. They will have to make sure their strategy minimizes negative business impact, because no doubt when there's rapid change having to occur, there's going to be some, and it's understanding the true cost of that choice. There's lots of geopolitical concerns at the moment, so data sovereignty is important. There's a lot of cyber attacks going on, and it's understanding where you want your data and what level of support you want. You may have to realign your choice of running your own cloud versus having an MSP, or which MSP you're working with. Can you guarantee your SLA and your security standards, the reliability of your platform? And can you do all of this in the next 18 months? So there's a lot to think about there.
What's the role of authorized partners like yourselves now, and how's this changed?
So Broadcom's moved a lot of responsibility onto the ongoing partners, taking that away from the customers and other MSPs. We are the authorized partners are the trusted experts. And we need to behave like that and make sure we've got the skills to support the customers and the partners. We're working direct with customers, but we're also working through MSPs to support the ongoing growth of their business. One of the best parts of the MSP and ecosystem is the speciality MSPs have in their specific focus areas. And so we want to support that. We're going to be providing bundled services. We're going to be providing diversity in our offers to support the diversity of the customer's needs. And we've got to ensure that security and compliance are at the core of those services we provide. We've got to be a buffer to further change. Broadcom's changed quite a lot in the last 24 months around the VMware product set, and we need to protect customers from the impact of that change. We've got to provide communications and engagement with partners and with the community, ensuring that their platforms are patched, and we've got to send out the alerts around critical vulnerabilities, as well as addressing them. But most importantly, there's an expectation of significant scale.
We know that some of the register audience are transitioning away from VMware entirely. What are the biggest risks in this approach?
We've got to remember that the VMware product set is still a leading product in the market. If you're looking to change, then you've got to acquire new skills. You've got to create time to develop those skills. And you've got to consider, as an organization, are you agile enough in the time available? There's complexity in the selection of your alternative hypervisor. You've got to select the alternative hypervisor, but you've also got to consider, do you need a management platform alongside it? What monitoring tools are you going to use? Are you going to use automation? These are all features that are built into the VCF product. What's the availability of production support? You're running a production environment, at least one, and you need to have vendor support or some level of escalation beyond that. You've got to consider cybersecurity and the completeness of vision, because change brings risks. You've got to make sure you don't leave anything behind. You don't want to end up with a transition away from VMware and leaving a gap, particularly around your cybersecurity offering. You've got to consider the time frame. You've got to choose. You've got a product. You've got to design it. You've got to build it. You've got to test it. You've got to migrate your workloads, and at the same time consider transformation as well. I mentioned earlier there's an awful lot of new features available and in VMware, but they're also available in the alternatives as well. So where can you be more efficient as part of that move? The licenses end gracefully at the end of the contract, but there is no option to extend. So you've got to be really confident you can hit that deadline. Broadcom doesn't have a history of granting exceptional exceptions.
On the other hand, if I'm invested in VMware and I want to stay that way, how are you going to help me to reimagine what I am doing with cloud?
The most important thing is understanding what your transformation journey is going to be like and what your needs are as a customer. So every customer's needs are bespoke to them. We've also got to look at whether consumption or consuming evergreen services as a platform, as capacity, is the right option for you. And then the goal is to deliver you an enterprise-grade hybrid cloud as a service. We can do that, as I said before, we can do that direct or through specialist partners. And we want to help you get value from that investment in VCF. So a continuous service improvement plan, enabling included features, new features and new releases will come along, and it's taking advantage of them because you want to realize that investment. Guided or supported transformation is key to gaining low total cost of ownership and gaining that competitive advantage. So leveraging the data services. Don't think about spinning up database servers anymore. You spin up database instances. Containerizing applications using the platform as a service features. And again, it's optimization, security, and reliability of that service is key. We're also offering to adopt platforms where customers have got significant investment that's still on their books as a value. We can adopt that service, run it for the customer, whether they bring their own subscriptions to it or whether we provide the subscriptions as part of a package service. That's key to not having wasted investment that you may have only made recently. There's more flexibility now in running private cloud, although it may not seem like it, because we can provide that service as one distributed fleet.
Outside the VMware world, what are the next 5 years going to look like for the way that cloud services evolve?
That's a big question, and it's a big answer. Too much to fit into here, but demand for services and MSPs isn't going to drop. It's only going to increase as the platform is taken away from customers. The technical capability may diminish. So they would need MSPs more than ever. And it will become a much more palatable thing. There's a lot of organizations that haven't moved to public cloud, but this change will make that move to public or hybrid cloud more likely. The number of service offerings will continue to grow because we need a diverse ecosystem. And there'll be an increase in transformation. Organizations that are still running the same architecture they were running 10 or 15 years ago will have to think about that. And it's about, and the next 5 years, we're going to see a lot more sharing knowledge as the market changes, the role of the MSP, and the MSP becomes more important to customers.
So, for anyone who's watching this and they're looking to change their cloud strategy beginning right now, what's the one piece of advice that you'd give them?
I'd say take the opportunity to think long term. Consider your strategy based on your requirements, not what's available on the market. Make sure the solution you pick is right for you, not just the thing that you can get now. Get advice and support from specialized partners. But most importantly, don't delay.
Mark Harrison of Redcentric, you may now leave the Register hot seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you.